Shalom everybody, thank you for tuning in. My name is Rabbi Dr. Yitzchak Shapira and I'm the author of the Jewish DNA of Romans 11. And we're going through this series from Paul to Saul and your Jewish DNA. We are discovering it together. In the very first episode, we went through understanding a little bit about the DNA of Shaul in his faith in Tchiyat HaMetim. We spoke a little bit about Matan HaSachar, Sachar ve'onesh, and we spoke even about his belief in HaGeulah and not just in personal salvation. All of these concepts are found inside Pharisaical Judaism. But today I want to talk to you for a moment about the ultimate key, and that's why Shaul spent so much time. We are recorded in the Brit HaChadasha 68 times that Shaul is preaching or speaking to Goyim about the Emunah. And the question is, why was Shaul so obsessed with them? In future episodes, we're going to dive much deeper to this question. But now we're just discovering Shaul. We have to understand something that is fundamental yet significant. Shaul is a Bible-believing Jew in the first century. Remember, there is no New Testament. He has the Tanakh, which made up of the Torah and the prophets and the writing. And he is what's called a fundamentalist believer in the Torah, both in a written Torah and what's called in Hebrew, Torah shebe'al peh, the oral interpretation of the Torah. And how do we know it? Because he's quoting many times a Midrash, and many times, especially in the book of Romans, he's making a Midrash of himself. We see it again and again that he takes one passage from Jeremiah and one passage from Isaiah, and he's joining them together on a word or on a context. That's called in Hebrew Gizra Shava, and he's doing it many times in his writing. Why? Because he's a Jewish rabbi, and then even if he's writing in Greek, there's no doubt in my mind that he's thinking in Hebrew, because this is the way a rabbi would communicate. Now, one of the things that Shaul is seeing upon meeting Yeshua, and remember, he's an outsider, he's not part of the original 12. When he's looking and reading the Bible, here he is meeting Yeshua, he's opened the Tanakh. And he's trying to understand, how do we get to Geulah? And that's something that I can't stress enough for all of us. If we want to take the heart and the mind of Rav Shaul, we have to ask ourselves the exact same question. How do we get to the final and complete Geulah? And as I explained in the book, the time that is called Matan HaSachar, how do we actually get to this point? And the only way to get to this point in the brain and in the mind of Rav Shaul is through the Goyim. Now here's the catch and here's the problem. When we are talking about the Goyim, and the Bible is full of two sets of prophecies about Goyim, very positive prophecies and very negative prophecies that usually speaking about the Goyim is in terms of Esau. When Shaul referring to the Goyim, he never looked at the negative prophecies of the Goyim. Why? Because again, what is his goal? What is his point? He wants to hasten the Geulah of his own people, which is the corporate redemption. That is his entire point. So what does he do? He said, let's look what we need to do in order to bring those wonderful prophecies like Isaiah chapter 2, or Isaiah chapter 11, and countless others. They're talking about the Meloah Goyim, the multitude of the Goyim coming in. And he sees those prophecies, he understands those prophecies, but then he look at the reality. And what does he see? He sees non-Jews who worship Zeus, non-Jews that are in idol worship, and he takes up upon himself a similar role to Avraham Avinu. We're going to talk in the future weeks about the parallel between Avraham Avinu and Shaul. There's a great parallels between us, and I'll show you some incredible things inside of this line of thinking of Shaul. But the thing that you have to understand, when Shaul is identifying the gap, he says, wow, I want to usher those prophecies. I want to hasten those prophecies. Again, it's called in Hebrew, when I spoke about this expression, Grirat HaGeulah, which is what every good Hasidic rabbi would do in the 21st century, which meaning pulling the Geulah by force. You see it on your screen. The Grirat HaGeulah is a concept I'm speaking about. This is a very important Jewish rabbinic concept, even in the first century. So what Shaul is doing, he said, I am seeing this reality, and I am seeing the state of the non-Jewish people. Let's go about creating another class of non-Jewish people. And he have a name for them. He called them Goim. Understand something. When Shaul called them Goim, he meant it in a very most positive sense of the word Goim. He mean Goim were part of the fulfillment of the salvation of Israel. Don't take the word go in a negative way. That's not what Shaul meant. Not at all. He's talking about the vessel that is going to be used for salvation of Israel. Today, the invitation that Shaul gave 2,000 years ago is your invitation. Become part of this vessel. I'm going to see you next week. We're going to talk a little bit about this vessel and how this vessel is going to come together. God bless you. You are part of prophecy. Shalom.